Today's Nonsense Wars production features the very unusual and very unique Set 4095 Record and Play. This not quite vintage set contains 344 parts and sold for an MSRP of $50 in 2003. When we found out about this set only very recently, we immediately wanted to know how it worked and eventually picked up a used copy with the box and the instructions for a mere $40 shipped on eBay. We did not build all the models this time, but I think we built enough of them to get a good idea of what Record and Play has to offer. The core of the set is, of course, the 16 by 11 by 4 Record and Play module. This programmable brick has 2 buttons on the front, a motor output on each side, and a rotating switch on top. It takes 3 AA batteries, technically making it a 4.5 volt part. Programming is very easy. Press the red record button and rotate the motor shafts. Press it again to stop recording, and press the green button to replay the inputs. Holding the green button toggles between 3 operating modes: run once, loop forward and backward, and loop forward only. The rotating switch also starts playback, but sadly won't interrupt ongoing playback. In addition to the Record and Play module, the set does contain some other unusual parts, though mostly by virtue of color. It has a lot of green Technic bricks and some white friction cross-axle pins, which are apparently even rarer than black ones. There are also some of these fairly useful 3x3 90-degree integrated gearboxes. The set has 6 explicit models: the Cricket, Dog, Zombie, Plotter, Drummer, and Beetle. And it has quote-unquote ideas for a slew of other models. We built 4 of the explicit ones, starting with the Dog. Right from the start, we saw a ton of errors in the instructions, a theme across all the models. Mostly alignment issues like this pin spacing or this axle spacing, but also some more egregious errors like this incorrect part callout count. The Dog itself is a pretty simple starter model. It has 2 direct drive wheels, a caster, and a rotating head. The wheels are offset such that the body and the head kind of bob along when it runs. Despite the uneven torque needed to drive this configuration and the long tail of the caster, the Dog performed fairly well with respect to recording and playback, and it made us optimistic about the rest of the models. The Zombie is the next model in the manual and also the main model of the set, so we were expecting it to be good. We didn't find anything too unusual in the construction aside from this somewhat unusual locking mechanic. They slide a 1x10 over these tiles to secure them. Unfortunately, the still ungeared wheels have a lot of weight on them since they have to move both the feet and the arms. As such, anything you record plays back horribly inaccurately. If we try to record a 270-degree turn, we can't even get 180 degrees out of it. Even driving straight, it struggles and flails, hence the quote-unquote zombie label. Perhaps the recording isn't intended to be accurate and just a way to make it move, but the next model seems to suggest otherwise. Thus, we come to the plotter. This caught our attention the most when we flipped through the manual because the control center, which is 13 years in the past at this point, built a plotter as well. At a high level, the record and play works very similarly to the control center, and a plotter is theoretically a good demonstrator for both. Unfortunately, the implementation of the record and play plotter leaves a lot to be desired, and I mean a lot. One axis, moving the paper, is driven by friction, and the other axis, moving the pen, is driven off an ungeared arm. The encoders in the hub don't seem to have enough resolution to record precise movements, and the motors in the hub don't have the torque to execute them either. On top of that, the paper slips easily, and the type of paper used appears to affect the performance as well. Perhaps with better parts, a good record and play plotter is feasible, but that is outside the scope of this video. The plotter also had its fair share of instruction oddities. One especially cringy step requires hanging the entire hub off a 1x6 beam until the other side is completed. We also noticed that the visuals have a lot more perspective than older and newer LEGO instructions. Almost all LEGO instructions are isometric or very close to isometric, but the record and play instructions, and maybe others from this time period, have very distinct vanishing points. Finally, we built the drummer, a simple animatronic with an arm on each motor banging on two different surfaces. I think this is again theoretically a good demonstrator for record and play, as you can record an arbitrary series of moves that aren't easily mechanically reproducible. Unlike the plotter, though, the simplicity of the drummer's implementation, along with its light arms, make the playback pretty accurate, and the model works well with a good recording. You need to stop the arms in exactly the right places, or they will drift over the course of multiple playbacks. Overall, the record and play feels like LEGO sunk time and effort into a system that only appeared in one set, but at the same time, that set wasn't that good. For small or light models, you can get pretty decent results, but as soon as you need more precision or more torque, the accuracy goes out the door. Perhaps the $50 price point was just too aggressive for something like this. I would have liked to see a $100 set with a better hub and more Technic parts, though Technic multi-sets were pretty dead by this time. On that note, this is the end of the video, so have a nice day.
Yeah, when you see it, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.